This moment has finally come. Russian governors are getting locked up at Putin's order. Not like I regret. They are certainly criminals and they deserve that. Putin started with the oligarchs. One has been recently arrested and another one is charged with a crime now and is currently wanted. And now it's the governor's turn. Putin has started shifting the political landscape of Russia, of the very political system that he's created. The political change is not up in the air. It's not around the corner. It's here and now. It's happening. As a bonus in this live stream, I have two very personal stories about dealing with a Russian governor and how I was invited to steal at Kursk on behalf of Kursk governor, the one who has been arrested. The stories will explain a heck of a lot of what Russian governors are about. Howdy everyone. My name is Konstantin. Welcome to Inside Russia, where usual Russia is explained by the unusual Russian. As usual, you will not find here BS, propaganda, or lies. Instead, you will find plenty of truth, common sense, and logic, and emotions too, because I am a human being after all. This message isn't going to be long. It consists of three parts. Number one, who are Russian governors and what role they play in country's political system? Number two, the personal story of dealing with Rostov province governor. Number three, the arrest of Kursk governor, former Kursk governor, the details and the explanation. Number four, who is next governor to be arrested? And number five, what to expect next in general. So let's start Russian Governors 101. There are 89 provinces currently in Russia, including 5 provinces that have been stolen from Ukraine recently. Internationally, they are recognized as Ukraine, but Russia recognizes them as Russian lands. The governor in modern Russia is the highest official of a province who has the executive power in his territory. Some official responsibilities and powers Russian governors have in their respective provinces include managing the economic, social, and cultural developments, ensuring the integrated development of their provinces, interacting with local governments of districts and cities and towns, participating in the work of the legislation authority, representative authority of the subject with advisory functions, signing laws of their provinces, having the right of veto, taking measures to consolidate social and political forces and movements in the territory of their provinces, ensuring the rights and legitimize interests of citizens. And of course, to protect the public order. Now, that's official. Did you notice me saying some official powers, responsibilities, and powers Russian governors have? Include some official, because all the responsibilities I've just told you are official ones. They exist on paper. In reality, any Russian governor has 2 responsibilities and 2 powers. Number one, to maintain public order to ensure stability of current political system, Vladimir Putin's vertical of power, and to steal money and send it to their higher-ups, those in Moscow who made them governors in the first place. And yes, governor keeps a little for himself. That's his reward and motivation. How much is that a little? I will tell you in a few minutes, when I will speak of the governor that might be arrested next in Russia. Now, in Russia, governors used to be elected in fair elections, and they used to be a very powerful independent force. The last political battle when independent governors participated in was in late 1999 when they were back in the opposition to Boris Yeltsin. Then Vladimir Putin was appointed as the president of Russia, and the first thing he did, he started neutralizing this independent political force, the governors. In 5 years that follows, since he was appointed, Vladimir Putin changed the political system of Russia, replacing the direct governors' elections with the system of governors' appointments by the president. So, starting to 2005, he was receiving 100% loyal governors because he was the one appointing them. That when the Russian governors stopped being governors, actually, and they became executive managers sent by the Kremlin. Later, in 2012, the direct governors' elections were returned to Russia, but that was a different Russia. In my opinion, what's been happening since 2012 is not elections, not in any of any level, local level, provincial level, federal level. They're not elections; they just farce. Currently, Russian governors are appointed by the president to their positions to carry out their responsibilities. This is how it usually happens. Okay, the governors are appointed, but they're elected. Putin fires a governor of a province, but on paper, governor always quits. Well, I guess that's agreement, that unofficial agreement that they have. That's how the inner works are. So then a new person called interim governor is appointed by the president, and he participates in the following governor's elections. The elections happen in September in Russia, and I guess the interim governor waits until, so many months until the next elections happen, and he participates, and he wins. Almost always wins. The governors nowadays are just bolts and nuts in Russia's political system called vertical of power. They are to keep order, to monitor that no one rocks the political boat in their province, and they are to make sure the big businesses play by the rules and pay for protection. Yeah, just like mafia in the West, I simplify a bit, but that's the main idea of governorship in Putin's Russia. That's what he has built. He's been crafting it for 25 years, and finally, the system is controlled by the president 100%, and that's what is called total control or absolute power. Now, the governors, they have supervisors, those who lobbied their appointments, because Russian government, those who are right beneath Putin, this is not a homogeneous group. It's a bunch of different groups who fight for power, who exert some influence, who always in political competition. They're like bulldogs fighting under the carpet. And, they try to expand their influence as much as they can. And one of the ways to expand influence is to appoint their own government to a certain province, okay? And then they have control over the province, over businesses, over Siloviki, and so forth. So anyway, the governors have supervisors, and the supervisors, those who lobbied governors' appointments. And the governors are given orders by the supervisors. Well, they are ordered in a soft way, of course. No one gives an order to a governor. Usually it's in the form of recommendation. And the governors always listen to those recommendations and take them if they were orders. And last but not least, the governors accumulate money, usually through their trusted people. In Russia, it's called controlling the money flows, the taxes, the bribes, taking ownership of companies, companies paying for protection for certain decisions, licenses, and so forth. So the governors accumulate money because money flows through them, through people that they appoint, and they send required amounts to Moscow, and they keep a little to themselves. Now, I want to tell you a personal story of dealing with a Russian governor, and I mean that's you won't find this anywhere because this is what happened to me personally back in 2015. Before I tell you the story, I would like to take this opportunity to take a sip of this wonderful English breakfast tea. And thank you. Thank you who are watching right now. Thank you who are part of being part of this community, the Inside Russia community. Thank you for interacting me in the live streams, participating in the live stream chats, liking the messages, subscribing to the channel, reposting in your social media accounts. That helps a lot. Thank you for praying along with me and for me. Thank you for sending your love. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. I promise you, again, I do that every day, that no matter if I'm demonetized or monetized, I'm currently demonetized, not making any money off YouTube. So despite that, I continue doing what I'm doing for as long as I physically can. Thank you, friends. Thank you. From the bottom of my heart. Now, as promised, I'll tell you a personal story of dealing with a Rostov governor. The year was 2016. I was in between jobs and I was approached and invited to become an interim CEO of a metallurgical equipment plant. There was a catch. The plant was in ruins. Literally in ruins. It was a part of a industrial group, and the group wasn't doing too well due to lots of managerial mistakes made. Shareholders chose the wrong strategy, and they basically owned a few manufacturing plants, and they had run them to the ground, so to speak. So they invited me to try to revive the metallurgical equipment plant. It was producing cranes, okay, large cranes, the kind of cranes that travel back and forth right underneath of roofs of large metallurgical plants, and lift equipment materials up and down. So the plant was in ruins. It was not operational. The shareholders, the plant had debts to just about everyone and anyone. It had debts for utilities, debts to Russian tax services, taxes unpaid, debts to subcontractors for the services provided, and debts to workers in form of unpaid salaries, believe it or not. And people worked for 2 years without getting paid, and the plant owned them 2 years worth of salaries. And so I was asked to come in and try to revive the plant. I had never done that before. I was in my 30s, and I decided to try it as something new, something challenging, a new challenge, so to speak. Well, in the first week of my new job, I realized I couldn't do much because my hands were handcuffed. I didn't have any money to operate the plant, to start it, to somehow get customers, new orders. And I was just there for a week trying to figure out what to do, trying to figure out the strategy. The plant was dead. All equipment was not operational. Former workers stole everything they could steal. Um, there were no employees. There was a big lock on the door, literally. No electricity, no water, nothing. The bank accounts of the plant were arrested, and the old employees, former employees, were a big problem. They wanted their money. They wanted to get paid, which I understand them quite well. If I were one of them, I also would have wanted to get paid. I think it's normal, for a person to get paid. Um, we owed the workers somewhere in the vicinity of $150,000. And the moment I showed up at the plant, you see, my office was about 3 hour drive away from the plant. As soon as I showed up, they saw me and they gathered and demanded to get paid. It was a little intimidating because I was surrounded by about 30 people and they were angry. And I said, look, I don't even know how much we owe you. I'm new at the job. I'm here to try to fix things, to try to, pay off debts. So instead of threatening me, you'd better work with me. So there was a group of about 40 people who we owed, and there were about 6 people, the leaders of that group. And they did all the talking. They approached me and notified that they were going to organize a meeting at town center. And they invited the TV channel to televise it, a big one. Первый канал, Channel 1, that's a federal channel. And all local newspapers, bloggers, and the media they could get their hands on. They notified me while I was at the plant, and I said, okay, that's your right, And I went on doing my business. And I returned to the HQ the next day, and my phone started exploding, literally. A local tax inspector called me threatening. It was not news that we owed taxes, and I was trying to work with them. So I was surprised. And a local chief of police called me. Then the local guy from Rospotrebnadzor, that's a watchdog, the government's watchdog supervising the safety of manufacturing and so forth, called me. And they all had the same question. Do you know that your workers are going to organize the meeting in town square and they're going to televise and bring the press? Yes, I told them that I knew. The next question was, what are you going to do about it? It's nothing. What could I do? And then I heard all kinds of things. Threats, please. You got to work with them. You got to promise them things. You got to, you got to do this and that. I was surprised, okay? So I had some time to process the information, and I got a big call from Rostov's parliament. Holy moly. The governor is like president, he holds executive power. And the parliament, provincial parliament, is like federal parliament, holds legislative power, right? So the head of, the speaker of the parliament called me personally. And he didn't ask anything. He started screaming at me and threatening me with all kinds of threats. Personally, I was puzzled and it was scary. Then the next call was from the office of the governor. His representative called, and obviously the governor doesn't make the calls himself. The head of the parliament made the call himself. But the governor didn't call. He called through one of his people. And that call was even scarier, okay? The guy didn't yell at me. He was very quiet, but he was very persuasive. He told me what's going to happen if that meeting was going to take place, and if it was going to make the federal news, and not good things would happen to me, to my family, to plant's employees, to everyone, And he didn't demand, he didn't ask, he just told me what was to follow. it was pretty scary, The funny thing is, none of those people who called me, the tax inspector, the chief of police, the prosecutor general's office called, they didn't care about the people. They didn't ask, what are you going to do with the people? When are you going to get paid? When are you going to pay them? They could care less. They cared of one thing only: the protest being televised and picked up by the press. They were afraid that this protest would make it to the federal level and be shown all over Russia. That's a huge disaster for the governor, for his government, for his minions, for everyone, okay? Because in Moscow, if they see that, they might not like it. They might see that the governor is not doing a good job keeping the order in his province, okay? And if this would keep happening, the government chair would be shaking, okay? I remember that situation. It's kind of funny now, but it wasn't funny back then. I went to the shareholders who invited me, and I was pretty mad. I said, look, you're framing me. You placed me into this position, and now I'm taking the heat. They went on. They had connections, They went on. They spoke to people. Anyway. What happened, the meeting took place, and the shareholders sent a special guy who promised people a lot, but not much of what promised materialized later on. That was a lie. And when I saw that, I was done with the job, okay? One of the shareholders was driving a very large and expensive, almost brand new Range Rover. Very nice car, and it was worth about $150,000 back then. And I was brainstorming how we can get the money, and I went with the financial director to see shareholder, and we proposed to sell his car, a truck, Range Rover, and to pay off the debts to the workers, the salary debts. The guy looked at us like we were crazy. He said, my car? My truck? What are you, nuts? And he basically told us to leave, and that was it. I quit. I worked for a few months. That's probably my biggest failure in my career, but not much I could do. I shouldn't have taken that job. So I couldn't revive the plant. Anyway, but that I faced the local provincial governor and the governor, not personally, but through a representative, official from his office. And they understood, then I understood how they work, what they care about, and what is their KPI, okay? What is their goal, and who sets it? The Kremlin, the goal is to keep everything quiet, keep everything stable, no scandals, no emergencies, nothing like that, okay? And just count money, send them to Moscow. Now, to the arrested governor, some details for you. The former head of Kursk province and his deputy have been charged with fraud committed as a part of organized group, using their official position and powers, according to the Article 159, Part 4 of the Criminal Code of Russia. This article carries a maximum sentence of 10 years imprisonment. The investigators said that Smirnov, the former government, and Dedov, his deputy, led a group of individuals and together with the leaders of the Kursk Regional Development Corporation embezzled more than 1 billion rubles, or over $12 million equivalent, from the federal budget. The Development Corporation was the general contractor for building defensive structures on the border with Ukraine, But the stolen funds were used for other purposes. Basically, they went to the pockets of the governor and his group of people, and most likely to the supervisors in Moscow. The investigation was launched due to the concerns about the quality of so-called dragon teeth, large concrete pyramids designed to slow down armored vehicles. After inspections of the protective structures in Kursk region, Kursk province, several criminal cases were opened. A source familiar with investigation materials said that the claims arose from the fact that the structure did not comply with the design documentation. I talked about it before. This has made big, big buzz in Russia quite a few times. In nutshell, there were lots of money allocated from the federal budget, much more than $12 million. Okay, the billions and billions of rubles. I believe it's 7 billions, close to $80 million, something like that, perhaps even more. So there's so much money been allocated to build defensive structure, sort of a wall consisting of this large concrete and steel pyramids on the border of the province. So the Ukrainian armed forces, particularly heavy armor, could not roll into Kursk province. Well, we all know what happened in August of 2024. Just that, they just unopposed, they rolled into Russian province, Kursk, and it turns out that the fortifications existed only on paper. In reality, they simply didn't exist. Now, let me tell you the second personal story. When I left Russia in September of 2022, then I was not in a very good mental state. I was making live streams and you saw everything. I was in front of camera. I was in panic. I was hurting. I didn't know what to do. I felt like my life was over. Okay, and obviously I needed to find something else to do. My previous job was over. And one of my, well, not friends, but the people I knew called me. And he is kind of a guy, he always comes up with crazy projects, okay? Oh, let's build an apartment block. I know a general contractor, I know people who are the customers. They give so much money, you know, let's build it. Oh, come on, dude. Do you have any experience? Do you have a large company? Oh, we'll find people with experience. So kind of like a crazy broker, I call him that. So he called me up in October of 2022, and he knew that I left Russia. But he also knew I was from Rostov-on-Don. And he was frantically looking for suppliers of these concrete structures. And he said, look, there's so much money to be made. In Kursk, they are building this wall made out of this small pyramids. And I said, well, what kind of small? He goes, well, on paper, they should be like almost a couple meters high, but in reality, they're 1 foot, 30 centimeters. And they accept that. You know, we need a certain cost of these pyramids. Let's say, 3,000 rubles, $30, something like that. And then that's what we need to make them for. And then people in Kursk are willing to pay us like $150 for a pyramid. And of course, we'll make, $120, but we would have to give half of it back to those who are paying high price. Something like that. So he was asking me if I can find any suppliers in Rostov. I knew any suppliers, people who would do that in Rostov. And of course I knew the people. And of course I told him, listen, don't ever call me again with offers like this, or just don't call me in general, because this is BS, okay? This is strictly illegal. Even if I could, I would never do that, because that's working for the Russian government, building something in opposing of Ukraine. This is insane. So basically, I ended the conversation, But that was when I figured what was going on with those dragon teeth. And this is exactly what happened. I'm not sure if that person who called me was involved in the construction. I don't know if he's arrested now or not, but I witnessed that happening, that crime being committed. Okay, so I thought it might be interesting to you. Now, this is just one arrest of Smirnov and Dedov and perhaps a few other people. Is this just one government type of deal? No. There will be others. The next one in line is, former Rostov province governor Vasily Golubev. He recently quit his job. That the very same guy who called me through his assistants, and telling me what would happen with me, with everyone around me, if there were any kind of trouble with the protest televised and being picked up by federal news and so forth. The very same guy. He recently quit his job, and on the same day, he was paid a visit by the KGB investigators. His team members have been arrested since. Quite a few people, including the finance person and including his nephew also, the former Minister of Transportation of Rostov province. Vasily Golubev received immunity from being prosecuted. He became the senator, a member of the upper chamber of Russian parliament immediately on the same day, almost on the same, no, not in a couple of days after he quit, okay? Very odd situation. He quit as governor, he became the senator, right? So he's been enjoying immunity from prosecution. The prosecutor's office has made 2 requests for stripping him of the immunity. There's a certain procedure. The prosecutor's office makes a request to the upper chamber of the parliament and presents the evidence why this person, the senator, needs to be stripped of the immunity. They are ready. They have enough materials for him to open a criminal investigation, but they can't due to the immunity. So the senators have denied both requests. Obviously, they don't want to give one of their own, right? Because if they do, it means that the next time they can come to any one of the senators, okay? So Vasily Golubev is still enjoying protection, legal protection. Now, why is the prosecution after him? Simple. All of a sudden, it turned out that Vasily Golubev is a very rich man. His family has moved to Dubai, and his children have bought properties worth of tens of millions of dollars in Dubai. And they're living in Dubai, and there are addresses. The prosecution knows exactly where they live, what kind of properties they own, villas, apartments, penthouses, and so forth. And they cannot explain where they get the money from. It's not like they're big businessmen, they've paid lots of taxes, they can show their incomes. No, they just have the money miraculously, just like that, okay? And I'm pretty sure that Vasily Golubev will be the next one to go. There are plenty of internet investigations on his family, on him, and clouds are thickening over the head of former Rostov governor. And other governors will also go. Why do I think so? Why now? Why? They've always been pillars of Putin's system. The vertical of power stands on governorship, modern governorship. Well, a lot of them will be going soon, and I will be keeping you updated. It's really difficult to make a live stream every time someone gets arrested. So what I do instead, I've come up with Formula 54. I select 9 news every day that I find important, that I find matter about Russia. And if somebody gets fired, or a crazy law is created in Russia, or someone is arrested, things like that, that flow of news that gives you impression of what's going on in the country. 9 news per day. I put my commentaries and I make them available to patrons of Inside Russia at Patreon account. So if you want to stay updated on everything what's going on in Russia, if you want to know the important news every day, if you want to keep up with everything Russia, consider signing up and becoming patron. That's not a lot of money. There are different tiers, but the lowest tier is $3 per month. So sign up, check it out, let me know what you think. The feedback's been overwhelming. I'm going to place the links down below after the end of this live stream, so check it out. So why now? Why the governors are going to get arrested? Why they have been arrested? One has been arrested and another one is, very close to getting arrested, right? The governors steal. They're made governors to steal and to enrich the higher-ups. Everyone knows that. Putin certainly knows that. Those who place them into their seats, give them the jobs, not only they know that, they expect the money from the government, the flows. It's all about money flows in Russia, okay? It's about the money. And now, they've never been punished for that. Until now. Why? Because Vladimir Putin is changing the political system. He is on the verge of a big decision and a big announcement. And I expect this announcement to take place on May 9th. He is to take all the victories, and he's going to announce the end of the first stage of the war, or the special military operation, as he calls it. It's really what's coming from the Russian propaganda is the stand between Russia and the West, okay? And he is going to announce the end of a phase 1. And he's going to take all the victories, whatever they are. They will come up with the new territories, definitely will be his victory. So much Ukrainian land taken, so many, the economy has withstood all the sanctions and so forth. Anyway, they'll come up with plenty of things they will sell as victories. But there are not only victories, and there are some things you cannot hide or sugarcoat. For example, the invasion of Ukrainian armed forces into Kursk province. They controlled a large part of Kursk province for 7 months, and Russian armed forces could not drive them back into Ukraine. That's a fail. Thing is, Putin cannot be blamed for that. Putin cannot take the blame. Putin is the sun, and sun doesn't have spots on it. Spots are those who failed him, are those who are simply made mistakes or committed crimes, or worse, working for the enemies. The sun is spotless. Putin is the magnificent, the shining, the light, the fairest out of them all, the Tsar. And those who failed him, they failed the country, they failed the people. And they are identified, arrested, prosecuted, investigated, and they will be punished. And the punishing has started. And the Kursk governor is the first one. That is his fault that Ukrainians rolled into Russian land, because he was supposed to build a wall, a fortification, And what happened? He stole the money. And just because of that, Ukrainians moved into Russia. Not because there was no Russian army, not because no one was protecting people of Kursk. No, 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 no. Forget about that. No one's going to be talking about that. It's just because of that criminal, the Kursk governor. Remember, Putin spoke to him. He was the only guy speaking to Putin about the situation, giving him the truth, saying that there's so many people fled, about 160,000 at the time, and Putin was sitting and thanking him, saying, "You're doing a great job." And now Putin arrests this guy to blame everything on him. And this is why the arrests of the governments have begun. The first were the oligarchs, and now they're supplemented by the governors. I'm telling you, Russian political system is shifting. The most important thing here is the scene of this political landscape moving. The boat starts rocking, and that's a good thing. We're waiting for more arrests and more violent rocking. And I'll keep you updated for every single thing that happens in this department. Please keep on tuning in here to YouTube for daily videos and live streams. And of course, sign up to get news from Patreon. Now I invite everyone to follow me in the live stream chat. We have about 20 minutes. I'll be delighted to answer your questions and to hear your comments. Please let me know what you think of today's events. Let me turn the live stream chat on. And please forgive my voice. I'm still recovering from pneumonia. I'm feeling so much better now, but still not 100%. What I do is turn the live stream chat on right now. Thank you. And if you are not seeing the live stream chat window, please update your window, refresh it, and you'll see it. And what I usually do is I put the chat itself into a pop-up window. And I make it larger font so I see it better. And just give me a second. While I do that, I would like to tell you, if you're here for the first time, this is the best community because the best moderation team makes it the best community. Please welcome Lorna, Mommy, Bob S., Amir, Harry Potman, and Dirk. Great people and the best moderation team that you can imagine. We are not discussing US politics here. Please don't say anything about the USA. Not the place, not the time to talk about it. And be nice in this live stream chat. And this is exactly what the moderation team is after, to make sure that everyone is nice and there are no insults, there's no fighting, and this is a pleasant place to be. So thank you so much. And usual suspects, thank you for coming today. I see quite a few familiar faces: Pinda, Jodes, Pamela, John, Scott, D, Ron, Terry Carter, Tracy, Paul King, Kit Chat, Elsha, Agneta. Thank you for coming, friends. Thank you. Yassine from Algeria. Welcome. Good to see you. Thank you for coming. The underdog, I missed you. Thank you for coming. It's been rough. I feel like I've been sick a lot lately. I don't have anything fatal with me. I check quite regularly with a doctor. The latest diagnosis is high levels of cortisol, stress, lots of stress, and undersleep. That's driving my immune system down. But it's fixable. It's good. So anyway, just one more thing before I jump into the questions. If you want me to see your message or question easier, please put it in all caps and put inside Russia after @ so it appears highlighted and it's much easier for me to read. I see it. And if I don't answer your question, it's not because I ignore you, but it's because I don't see it. There's so many questions and then comments. Just keep on posting until I actually catch up with it. Just like Baker Stock did. Thank you, friend. Little Lilith Eden, howdy, howdy. Sam the Legend K, hello. Per Hagling, Sheerleaf, howdy. Woody, Rogue Bard, Bogdan, Test Software, howdy, howdy. Andrew from South Africa, greetings. Ronnie, good to hear you feeling better. Thank you so much. Not 100%, but much, much better, you know. Looking much better. Tracy, I'm actively losing weight. That's one of the things doctor he didn't recommend. She didn't recommend. She said it's a must. Okay. Terry is from Pulaski, Virginia. Thank you for joining us as usual. Paul King, glad to see you feeling better. Out of 110, where is Russia as far as the old Soviet Union version 2.0? It's a very general question, Paul. In some ways, it's number 10. It's in some ways, it's number 1. For example, you still are free to do business in Russia. That's number 1. That's not the USSR. In USSR, you just could not open a company, and if you were to buy something and sell it for profit, it was illegal. That you could go, you would go to jail for that for a long time. That was called illegal entrepreneurship. Okay, now obviously it's legal, so it's one, but price control is probably 4 and growing. The lack of rights is getting close to 10. I think it's at 8, perhaps 9 right now. You know, so it's different things. You can't say the country is at 10 or at 1. It's different things. Sam, my live stream window jumped as usual. I can't stand when that happens. D, sorry, I just got here. How are oil and gas prices affecting life in Russia and the Russian economy? Well, it's affecting the Russian economy in a very negative way because right now it's madness what's going on. As I speak right now, it's madness because Russia is making less and less, earning less and less, and spending more and more. This gap is widening. It's called the federal budget deficit. And then basically they've started printing money. So that's terrible. For regular people, lower prices for oil do not result in lower prices for gasoline at the pumps. Vice versa. The prices going up and the tariffs for natural gas for regular people, for regular users, individual users, are going to jump by 25%, by 1/4. This is how their lives are affected. That just so you understand. Can Putin receive Sky Sports with those satellite dishes on both sides of his head? I think he can. Agneta, howdy. Sheerleaf, hello, hello. Thank you so much for good words. Like you noticed, I am the sickest person in terms of health that you've seen, okay? Because I get sick all the time. Yeah, remember that. Radar Cortex, and that's true, by the way, too. Radar Cortex, praying for your health from Texas. Thank you so much. Texas is great. I've heard everything is bigger and better in Texas. Please add Florida State University Tallahassee for your prayers or shooting. Oh boy. I definitely will. I'm sorry to hear that. A friend, a son, oldest son of my youngest, my partner, former business partner, goes there. I think he goes to Florida State at Tallahassee. Gotta cool him up. Oh boy. Pinda, I missed this community. Hopefully, there will be no missed videos. I definitely will do my best not to miss anything. I've missed so much. I feel like I've had more days off than days with YouTube lately. Karen, you sound a bit better tonight. I hope you're getting better. Karen, yeah, that's a hard name. Hertfordshire. There you go, Hertfordshire. Karen, thank you so much. The amount of drugs, pills, IVs, antibiotics I have taken in the last couple of weeks is pretty. I think it can revive, resurrect the dead man back to the land of living, you know. Natalie Otero from Queens, New York. Howdy. Roman, good to see you. Is there a way for the governors to find their own scapegoats? Is there a chance for them to escape punishment? No, no, they cannot find. That's there. There aren't bigger, bigger. Anyway, no other person, no other position is big enough to actually present as a sacrifice. Okay, they are made sacrifice. They are made victims of sacrifice by the Kremlin. It's not definitely not their choice. They don't know, and then most believe that they will not be sacrificed. Okay, because they behave. I don't see how they can escape punishment. They can't quit because see what happened with Rostov governor Golubev. As soon as he quit, he literally quit at 11 a.m. At 6 p.m., there was a knock on his door by the local KGB operatives, but they're not really local. They were taking orders from Moscow, okay? And there was a 2-hour search in his house. And then they had a talk for a long time. And then he rushed to the parliament and most likely bought a seat for himself. Well, that I don't know. It's just making an assumption. So, and he's hiding there. But I think as soon as the decision in the Kremlin is made, then the order will be given to the parliament, the upper chamber, and they'll vote for stripping him of immunity or kicking him out of the parliament. So, and I don't think he can. Well, he might personally leave Russia. I'm not sure of that. Because if he can leave Russia, he probably would just try to run away. But if he can't, he's really in trouble. Michael Mayo, thank you so much. Thank you, Michael. Good to see you and hear from you. Pavel Hay from New Jersey, greetings. Stacy Lewis. Kermo, at Country Home. Well, it must be still like snowy in Finland where you are. Do you have snow on the ground? living in Greece. I like that. Well, Greece is one of my top destinations. Such a fantastic company. Um, Thank you so much for good words. Um, J. James, best wishes. Thank you so much. Do you still have time to check on new tech on turbines and power production, Lee CO2 turbine, etc.? Not really. Once in a while, I give a call to my old colleagues who are still in business in the industry, and they just, give me an update. But there hasn't been any new, not no news in Russia. I mean, they're not building turbines, they're not building new power plants. My former company is near bankruptcy because it doesn't have any orders. The previous orders are being finished, fulfilled, and that's pretty much it. That's the situation in Russia in many industries. They're not building anything. Only the government pays for just a couple power plants here and there. That's it. The underdog been lazy, missed some live streams. Look afterwards. Well, please go and check them. Carlos, thanks for your video. All what you explained about oblast governors, does it apply to the presidents of the republics inside the RF? Or is there any difference? The president of a republic is the same as the governor, okay? It's just very few parts of Russia, regions, are called not provinces but the republics, but they're the same. According to the Russian law, they're the same. They enjoy a little bit more independence from Moscow, but they're still dependent. They're still part of the federation, this Russian federation. And, you can call them governors as well. Ramzan Kadyrov is a governor. The Republic of Tatarstan, well, I call it Kazan province. The head was called the president of the republic, but then Putin stripped him of his name because there cannot be two presidents in one country. So now he's called the head of the Republic Rais, and that's pretty much it. You would be the best president for Russia. Thank you, Christophoros. Thank you. I don't think so. I'm not caught to be a president. Steffi, howdy. Uwe, guten Abend. B. Gates. Helen KP, hello, you look well. Thank you so much. Well, I feel much better. I look much better, I guess. That's what a lot of sleeping, taking pills and IVs does to you. Michael Mayo, it's so difficult to share this with other folks from the US. It breaks our brains. Happy Easter. Happy Easter to you too. So today is Friday in Uzbekistan, Thursday in your parts of the woods. But the Easter is coming. Yes. Russian Eastern Orthodox Church celebrates Easter this coming Sunday. I'm not sure when the Catholic Easter is. Do it, Martens, Boer from SA. Good show. Thank you so much. I've tried. Thank you. Sam K in all caps to jump into your eyes in orange box. Did I type this in the correct way? Yes, you did. That's why I'm seeing it, because it jumped in my eyes. Great message today. Thank you so much. Pinda the Peanut. Old Orchard Beach was in a lot of news items about decline in tourism. Oh, Pinda, I saw that. I saw quite a few people sent me reports. They made national news in the federal news in the USA. Different news channels interviewing local owners in Old Orchard Beach. Now, Old Orchard was always has always been dependent on the tourists from Montreal, the Quebecois, and they would flood Old Orchard, and most owners of hotels, motels were bilingual. They definitely speak French. And then Maine, Southern Maine in general, the second language, it's like in California, it's Spanish. In Maine, it's French. Um, in the town where I lived, Saco Biddeford, they have a celebration, a spring celebration, like a local festival called La Kermesse, something with a frog, I guess. And then there's just a big fair, parade and all. And there's a lot of people with French Canadian heritage there. So yeah, I saw quite a few news pieces, and it's sad. It's sad because Canadians enjoyed coming to Maine, and Mainers benefited. And trust me, it was always like one family. Canadians coming. We never considered Canadians being foreigners. Just folks from Canada. Um, and now there's a rift between the Canadians and the Americans. Insane. Harold, my corporation from Jordan hired many foreigner lab assistants from foreign countries. It's good, 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 good. Shirley, I'm not angry. No, it kind of caught my attention. um, don't put anger where there's no anger. Okay, it's like a benchmark for me, because I have been the sickest person I have ever seen around me. And that's not that's not that great. Andreas, what happens to the governor's money? I think that's one thing that I should have included in this report that I didn't. Um, whatever they recover goes by law. It goes to the federal budget, not state. It's called confiscation. The money is confiscated, but no one knows how much is confiscated and how much is made official for confiscation. For example, there was footage. Rostov governor had a few attacks on him, political attacks, and the last attack almost cost him his chair. And it happened in I would say 2018, something like that, or 2019. One of his deputies, the vice president, was actually arrested and charged with fraud or uh, corruption. Okay, I remember quite well because a person that I knew was in the past was one of the vice presidents and vice governor, not vice president, vice governors, and he was in charge of financial relations with Moscow. Okay, so he was the money flow man. So there was an attack from Moscow from one of the power groups to get the governor fired and to install their own person. And I guess that cost the governor a pretty penny to pay to keep his job. Okay, but one of his men was arrested, and his right hand man, the first vice governor, quit his job, and he came to the governor and he wrote this letter. That's a Russian procedure. So the governor signed the letter. The guy actually drove straight to the airport. He had a private plane, small plane of his own. He jumped on the plane and flew to Spain, where he had second home. He hasn't been in Russia ever since. Okay, and then another man from his team was arrested. And when he was arrested, they filmed how they were searching his home. And they found large duffel bags full of cash, euros, dollars, rubles, a few billion rubles. So I think in dollars, there was an equivalent of $40 million they found in his home. You know what happened to him? To the money? No one knows. I didn't really follow the guy. If he was released or he was sentenced, I don't know. But no one knows what happens to the money. What happened to the money? So that's to answer your question. You know what? I will try to find that footage and I will try to post it on Telegram. So go sign up for my Telegram account. The link is going to be in the description. And check it out. I will do that now. If I can find the filming that they did while arresting him, searching his home with like big duffel bags worth of cash, like full of cash. So that's what happens. North will rise again. Howdy. Bob S., thank you so much. I see that's already 19 minutes past. Just give me a couple questions to answer. Fat Pork, will you go to Kiev and see how people live normal lives in Kiev? I tell you what, if I could, I would go right now. I would make videos. I would try to reach out to people. I would try to introduce them to the Russian community that lives outside Russia. And I still have friends in Ukraine from my old life. From what I understand, I would not be welcomed in Kiev. And I, as a Russian citizen, I cannot go there. No one is going to let me into Ukraine with my Russian passport. Lorna, thank you so much. Let me just one question. Bogdan, thank you so much. So it's the same day Easter. Okay, happens once in a while. Tony, will Russia lose or when the evil war will end? It's really hard to say. Russia is definitely on a losing track. Something's going to change in the way Russia is positioning itself. Putin is going to most likely announce some kind of a win, the end of the phase, and he will announce a new phase. And my bet is that he will announce that Russia is turning into war mode because it's in war with the West, it's in war with Europe, whoever, and the rules of the game, the laws, the social contract, unofficial social contract with Russian citizens will change. Okay, that's my take. And I don't know when Russia will lose because the United States has been acting very unpredictably and very, I don't even know how to call this, like, what they've been doing. I don't, as an economist, I don't understand the decisions that the USA keeps on making every day. It's like it wants to destroy itself economically. It has done a pretty good job at that already, So that definitely will influence, how Russia is positioned and for how long it's going to be continuing the war. So it's become much more unpredictable now. So for me, the next milestone is 9 of May. It's when Putin is going to announce something. Oh yeah, Joe's Rames, thank you. I remember you mentioning that phone call from the guy about the dragon's teeth way back when it happened, more than 2 years ago. Well, I can tell you when it happened. October of 2022. I was in this apartment. I was just getting settled. Oh, wait a second. It could have happened earlier because I came to Uzbekistan in March. of 2022. No, it didn't. No, my memory kind of let me down. I think it happened in March. In March, I spent the entire month of March. I'm sorry, April. I came here on March 29th, left on April 28th on my birthday. So that's when he approached me and offered this thing. It was crazy conversation. I told the guy not to call me ever again. I was pretty mad, and it's just low, okay, to try to make money on this thing. It's incredible. Friends, I would like to end the live stream. Thank you so much for coming. It's been incredibly great to be with you again. In about a month, people might want to cover up here. Terry, I will do that. I'll sing. Anyway, friends, please join me in prayer. I still have my list. It's an old one, but we keep on praying every day. So let's do it. Thank you. Dear Lord Jesus Christ, thank you so much for giving us this day. Thank you for sending food on our tables and putting roofs over our heads. Thank you for surrounding us with people who we love. Thank you for our families and for our children. Dear Lord, please give us wisdom to keep the skies above our children's heads peaceful and safe. Give us wisdom to raise our children in a way that when they grow up, they will not fight in any wars. They will just make this world a better place. For now, please keep our children safe and healthy. Dear Lord, I am asking you for Ukraine. Please send the country much needed peace. Help stop bloodshed in Ukraine. Please help every single Ukrainian who has been affected by this terrible tragedy, by the war, and answer everyone's, all affected Ukrainians' prayers and make their wishes come true. Please reach out and touch the hearts and souls of those who are capable of making the decision, responsible for that. Wake them up. Please remind them that there's still love in their hearts and they're still humans. So they shake off their lethargic sleep and make the decision to stop the bloodshed. Please help my country, Russia. Assemble the army of your strongest angels with sharpest swords and have Saint Michael lead it down to this earth to get rid of the demons who have hijacked my country. Please have them get rid of the demons who we know by their names and by their faces. Dear Lord, send your greatest angels to help Russian people to run their country in a way that it becomes peaceful, loving, and respecting. Please send safety to all those who are traveling. Help those who are in trouble, in any kind of danger, in dire straits and high waters. Please help single fathers and mothers who are struggling, trying to make the ends meet, raising their children. Thank you. Please help those who are helping Ukrainians, and please help those Ukrainians who are currently under attack or possibility of attacks from Russian weapons. Please send everyone safety. I am asking for those who are hungry, cold, addicted, sick, homeless, jobless, depressed, crying, feeling betrayed, going through divorce, those who are not feeling well about themselves, losing their faith, please reach out and touch everyone who needs your help. Send them love. Let them know that you're right next to them. Have them feel your warmth and your love. Please help everyone in need. Dear Lord, thank you for allowing us to get together here and pray. Thank you for everyone who is praying along with me right now, or simply watching us pray. Thank you. Please answer everyone's prayer and make everyone's wish come true. Dear Lord, I have a few people I would like to ask for. They need your help. They are Lorna, please send recovery. Rose, Albert Bronicky, Janice, Karsten, Jeff, Teresa, Ron Bazoid, Ann Larson, Hannah, Jeffrey S. and his family, Katharina Holm, Mark Rutan, Tom W., J.R. McKim, Gabing with Gary, Lisa, Harry, Terry, John, Linda, Paula W., Dennis, Jason, Susie, Tim, Dory, Rhonda, John, Taylor, Wayne, Darla, George Ruberty, Pamela, Meta Spencer, David Porter, his family, and everyone who is in Chernovtsi, Ukraine, Life, Randolph, Grace, Dean Spooner and his church, Yelena, Natasha, Michael, Jake, Oля, Dasha, Sky, Svetlana, Sergey, Liz, Ron, Liz Koshkindom, Sandra, Mike and Mike, Petra Olson, Joseph, Melissa, Jodes, Millie, Philip, Eileen, Highwayman, Derek, Renata, Denise Abbott, Jeff Gibson, Janice Burgess. And I would like specifically ask for students and faculty and everyone at Florida State University at Tallahassee who's currently or just suffered an attack. Please keep everyone in safety, help everyone in need. Thank you so much, dear Lord Jesus Christ. Amen. Thank you, friends. Thank you for coming. Fantastic to see you. I would like to remind you that you are all awesome and you rock. Tune in for tomorrow's crazy news update. There will be many. I hope to make it interesting for you. Thank you. And as usual, at the end, please do me a favor. Repeat after me as loud as you can the following. Carthago delenda est.